All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to the Magic Software webinar, Rapid Application Development. I'm Tom Hutchins and I'm joined today by Joe Da Silva. So we'll be trying to keep this fairly quick for you, just to give you an overview of why you need rapid application development and how it works with Magic. We're going to be launching fairly quickly into Joe's live demonstration of the tool, and then we'll have a little Q&A session at the end. So the main reason that you need a rapid application development capability is that the landscape keeps changing. Not all that long ago, you could really be fairly certain what your users were going to have. You had large boxes in secured data centers. They were accessing from fairly predictable PCs, and they were using enterprise software that you were well aware of. Over the last few years, that's changed considerably. You got much more mobile. We don't know which mobile it is. Now, I've just been alerted to the fact that you may not be able to see my screen properly. Sorry if you can't see my screen. See if you, has that fixed it? There we go. That seems to have fixed it. Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to continue seeing my screen from now on. So, just to go back to where I was, on the right-hand side you can see the predictable boxes we used to have and the predictable applications, and top left-hand corner you've got the little laptop that used to be what corporate employees and frankly most customer users as well would be using to access any systems and data that you needed them to. Now we're using a lot more tablets, smartphones. You can't predict what people will have because there's so many in the marketplace, and even within the enterprise many people are bringing their own devices and applications. They're connecting to wider ranges of software, mostly through web clients. In many cases these softwares are procured faster, and they might even include social medias. However, that doesn't mean that just because all these things are difficult to do or they look like they're very isolated or short-term, that we can get away with not connecting the people that we need, the users, to the data sources and enterprise processes. That's where Magic comes in. We have capability to both develop the front-end applications for users to engage with, which we're going to be showing you today, and also the full business process integration to handle the actually taking the data and information, making it useful to users through those applications. When I say processes, it really is the case, because pretty much anything that you might do today in the enterprise, and this really applies not only to internal users but also really for a customer trying to access an application, their request might go into one system, but it may well need to kick off a process that runs through several others. The graphic I've got here shows how just a sales lead coming in can, within just the sales department, require moving data between different systems, different users, in order to get through that life cycle. But although Magic is able to handle these things very easily, I don't want you to just take my word for it. I would like to hand over to Joe, who's going to show you right now just how easy we can make it. So, I'll just make Joe the presenter. Joe has been made the presenter, so Joe, go ahead please.
Thank you, Tom. I suppose you all can hear me. Let me just show my screen. I'm not going to talk a lot about slides. It's just to give you some reference of what I'm doing here. So thank you for spending the time. We're just trying to make this very short and sweet and give you a quick introduction of what you can do. So you will see something running, deployed, and updated. But to explore more, please come back to us, and we can do this on a one-to-one basis, or even build something that you like specifically for you. Just to demonstrate that what I've been doing, creating here on the fly, is not all smoke and mirrors. You can download and install this and see on your own device if you want. So if you want to do that, you can follow this link or go to the App Store if you're using an iOS device, or for an Android device at the Play Store. And you can download a generic client that will execute the application that I'll be developing here. And that can be done by simply typing in an address that you have on your screen as well. I'll paste this on the chat screen so you can have it instead of just copying this. What I'm going to show you is how to create an app. So I will create an application, and that application contains definition of the application, what we call metadata, and also the data itself, the records that we want to be playing with. That then will be deployed to a server, and that server is visible to the outside world. This is just one way to deploy the application you probably will be following. So you can also access that application and that data and play with it. And that will be done via the normal HTTP or HTTPS protocols. And you can access that through a client that you will have on your mobile device. And therefore the links. If you, before I actually start building it, I just want to have a look that, or to open up that, what are the steps. So if you imagine, just to put you in the right frame of mind here, what would require to you today, using your current technology, whatever you're using, to create an app that follows this list. So it has to support multiple platforms with different forms for each platform and different navigation for each platform. It has to connect to server, multiple servers, and then receive any application update. Also create a connection and a secure way to query, insert, update, and delete records on that server, on the mobile device. Handle any caching, portable to multiple platforms, multiple operating systems. Handle any gesture that the user might be doing, either by keyboard or touching, typically today on the mobile devices, but also on a desktop using a mouse. And handle rotations on a mobile device, for example. Connect to databases or multiple data sources. Programs that interact with any type of data, be it that data in a database, in XML, in memory, or in a flat file. And in the case of database, support SQL statements without you having to code those SQL statements when you want to do query, insert, update, or delete. Connect and consume multiple web services if you want to connect your application, let's say to get send an SMS, or even get value that's out there provided by a service like currency or any financial data. Fully transactional and allowing you to roll back within a transaction. Multi-tiered and scalable, meaning that you create an app, you can test it with 10 users, but then you go to 10,000 users. You don't have to redesign your app to scale in that sense. And also to distribute that application, which I'm going to be doing right now as well, in the sense that you can get that application on your device and any updates as well. So if you imagine how long would it take for you to, using your current resources, create and deploy an application that supports all those features. My challenge here is to do exactly that in about 2 minutes or the next few minutes. So let me do it. I'm going to show you here is the development environment where I can create an app. This is a studio where you would code, so to speak, your app. there's no code involved. Actually, that's exactly you're going to see. I'm going to start by pointing to some data. So my application will create an interact with data that sits on a database. What I'm going to do here is access a database that is stored in SQL Server database. So because I want to access that data on SQL database, I'm going to access a SQL database that's probably very common and familiar to you, which is called Northwind, which is a standard Microsoft database. And I'm going to get one of the tables, let's say customers, and that's going to be holding the data that I want to access. So I'm using the Studio to connect to a database without having to do that manually. The Studio talks to the database, got the schema, got all the details. So how do I create a program that then allows me to insert, delete, modify within that table? I simply create a program automatically. I have a few options for programs. They could be running within a browser or only for Windows, but I'm going to use this rich client model, which allows me to create an app that supports multiple operating systems and multiple environments. I can also select the exact data that I want to show. In this case, I'm going to select just a few columns, and I'm going to call this program Mobile Customers. Now I can go to my program repository. So on the left-hand side, you can see I have the data repository, which points to data that I want to use, and a program repository, which points to my programs. And I have that program that I just generated automatically. One of the nice things here is that I can run this program right now on Windows to test it. So if I want to test any program before transferring to a mobile and then seeing the result, I can do that. So I can see my program here is bringing some data and looks good. So to simplify, let's say this on a mobile device. What I need to do on a mobile device, I normally have a menu to allow the users to navigate around, and I have this up menu that at the moment is empty, but I'm going to simply add a line and point to that program that I've just created. So it's called Mobile Customer. Now I have one menu that contains one item. So how do I make this now arrive on your mobile device? I simply generate an executable that can be interpreted and executed by each platform through our platform. So I created that executable, in this case a cabinet file, and I do have a server here that is visible to the outside world. Let me just connect to it. And I'm going to drop my application there. So I'm dropping the application. I have the previous version, replace it, and I'm going to reload that as the latest version, so it's now visible. So now all I need is a mobile device to access that application. I'm going to show you two devices here. The first one is an Android device, if my emulator works. Let me restart, and while it's doing that, I'm going to show you on an iPad as well, which I have here. Let me just share the iPad with you, iPad screen. So the iPad is not an emulator, but a real device, which I'm going to share the screen with you. I have a nice tool here called Air Server that displays what's on my iPad screen. So let me just share my screen, and it's coming. You now should be able to see. So what you see here is a real application running on the iPad. And I'm going to touch this icon, and it's going to access that application that I just created. And there you are, it's only an empty application with one menu showing here called Mobile Customers, which if I select, I can see the data as I saw on Windows a minute ago. So this is the same application, same program that I developed on my Windows machine, brought on the server. Now I can execute and access it through the iPad. And I can also do the same through an Android. So my Android is here. Let me just load it. It's not connected. Let's see if I can get access to the internet. And let me just point to my server. This is the same that you can do on your device if you download it from the Google Play. So you point to my server and you point to this file up into minutes 25.xml. So this is the file that directs this client to which application I want to test. This is normally used only for testing purpose. It's not something that you do on a real application. You just embed this automatically. And here you have it. I have the app running on the Android as well with the menu. And you notice that the look and feel is already different, but following the Android expected default look and feel. Talking of look and feel, I'm not going to do anything about look and feel today, but we can apply skins and layouts automatically to the apps as well. Okay, so now this is the application. This is my target of an app in 2 minutes that runs on Windows, runs on iOS, and runs on Android. But I just want to show you a few things that you get out of the box automatically when you start doing multi-platform development. Let's add, for example, something that would be a selection box or a date, kind of calendar date related information. So let's do something else here. I'm going to add another table from Still Northwind, and I'm going to now get the categories, which is a small list of items, if you're familiar with this database. And I want that list of items to show here in my program. Sorry, I'm too fast here, but within my program, I can open it and by double-clicking it, and you see the internal structure of a program. I have a data list and logic that I can add methods, and I have a list of forms that I can change the look and feel, what the end user will see. If you're familiar with the data view controller, that's the same idea. So I'm going to do is to change this form that at the moment is showing multiple customer details to be only one customer per screen. So I just did that, and I can show you things like changing the control details, which I don't want to go too much detail, but just to give you a quick view of changing the fonts and colors and size of the controls when you start doing more look and feel work on your application. And normally I don't even need to do this because I can simply apply a skin throughout the application, and that makes things go automatically and fix everywhere. But let me show you one of the multiple platform-specific controls. Let's add a combo box here and make it high enough to be touched on a small phone. And I'm going to display here that list of options that I have on the table called, that I just pointed out from the database called categories. And I want to display the category name, whichever name is in there. And every time the user selects one of the categories names, I want to return the ID, which identify that category. And I want to display this list alphabetically, so by category name. And this is all I need to do. I also want to add another field here with a date, so I can do just a quick example for you. How do you create local variables? I'm going to create two local variables. One to get the selected category, and the other one which is a date, just to select a date. Just to give you an example of multiple controls on multiple platforms. I'm going to put that selected date here as well. Make it a little bit taller. And there you are. So here, remember when I select the category name, I wanted to return the ID. So I'm just going to point to that. And I think I'm done. Let's just regenerate these and redeploy and see the effects on when I change when I run this on the iOS and on the Android. Yep, let me just allow this modifying here because I don't want it to change all the data, just this. Remember that once I create that program, I can test it here on my Windows, and this is typically the look and feel of a Windows application. It seems to be allowing me to select and looks good. So let's see this on the mobile now. So how do I update all my users with the new version of the application? I simply regenerate the cabinet and copy and paste it on my server, on my deployment server. So I'm going to do that, and you can see the effect on your devices, or I'll show you again on my own devices here. So just reload this. As I reloaded this on the server, the users now, every time they access the application, they will see the new version. So let's start with the Android one. It's still live. Yes. Just do this, just reload it so I can see the new version. And now if I go to my mobile customers, I accessing now the new version of the application. Remember, the new version has two new fields. One is the list of categories, which I can select. You notice that I can touch and move them around, and it looks like a typical Android selection box as opposed to a Windows that you just saw a minute ago. And for the date, I didn't allow the date to be modified, so I can not select. But I need to fix that. I want to show you how you select that. Let me just run it like this. Okay. And let me just make a small change that I forgot, which is allow the date to be modified. Because I want to show you what happens when you select a date. And this on each platform shows a nice local control for that device. So drop again on the server. Replace it. Reload it. And look again. Back to my Android. Let's reload the application. And I have my mobile customers, and on the date I have a nice calendar that shows up because now I'm allowed to change that field. you could see that I had control of what the application is allowing the user to do or not. And final part is to show you on the iOS. So let me share again the screen on the iPad. My server is still running. Our server is very nice, but it doesn't always behave. So let me just reload it. And you should be able to see. There you are. So let me run the application from my iPad. And you see now the difference. Remember the controls on the iOS, sorry, on the Android and also on Windows. Now on iOS, it looks like an iOS control. And I didn't have to do anything to get that. And for a date, also I have a nice date control that I can select and that to do. So these are the kind of things that will allow you to quickly create an application, deploy it, and have all these features underneath being done for you, like navigation. I didn't have to do any navigation. I could add more items to the menu, etc. So there are multiple things that I can explore here. Look and feel probably will be the next one. And maybe integration with the device features like sending emails or GPS and things like that. But because we want to be short and sweet, I'm going to stop here and invite you to come back to us and see more. And if you want us to do something very specific for you, we can do some prototype and specific demo. I'll pass back to Tom. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Are you? It's back to me? I think it's back to me. Okay, thank you, Joe. So it was very... Make me present. So let's show my application. Right, so now you should be able to see my screen again. Thank you. Where's webinar controls gone? Right, and we're back. Okay, so I'd just like to open up now to any questions. Hopefully that demo explained a few things about why building rapid application platforms with Magic is very useful.